Ash Greninja was one of the most powerful Pokemon in Generation 7. When it was first introduced, it had very cool movesets and two abilities that was able to impact the metagame dearly. Today we're going to talk about Battle Bond, however. Battle Bond Greninja is something we haven't seen in Generation 7 due to the fact that it was cut from Generation 8, but apparently it's making a return in Generation 9. But not in the exact same way. In this video, we're going to talk more about Ash Greninja being in Generation 9 in a very weird and nerfed way. So before we talk about Generation 9 changes, we're going to talk briefly about Greninja in Generation 7. In Generation 7, we were granted a brand new form of Greninja that was Ash Greninja, and it came with the ability of Battle Bond. And Battle Bond is activated once Greninja is able to KO a Pokemon. It becomes Ash Greninja, and Water Shuriken increases in base power, as well as guaranteed to hit at least 3 times. Now, if you look at Greninja stats, you can obviously see it was a pretty decent Pokemon. Now, with Protean being in the metagame as well, a lot of people were just wanting more absolute power, and Battle Bond became the go-to ability because, as you can see the stats right here, once Ash Greninja appears in battle, it goes from this to this. An absolute unit. 145 base attack, 153 base special attack, and 132 speed. This thing was an absolute menace. Arguably a top 7 Pokemon in Sun and Moon. If it wasn't for the existence of Toxapex, man, this Pokemon might be the GOAT. However, let's take a look into this move set. So you have Spikes here. I think it's one of the few Pokemon in Generation 7 that was able to access Spikes that was metagame relevant. And having Water Shuriken being boosted because of Battle Bond made this Pokemon perfect for revenge killing in case you need to weaken faster Pokemon that was able to KO Greninja back. You also have Dark Pulse and Hydro Pump being the 2 premier stab moves that could just absolutely hit anything like a truck. Unless your name was Toxapex or Chansey, you gotta watch out because this Pokemon was an absolute menace to society. So, according to some data mining information, Greninja did make its way into Generation 9. We don't know how it's gonna be released yet, and unfortunately, Battle Bond got nerfed, but not in the way that a lot of people think. So now we're gonna take a look into Generation 9. In Generation 9, Battle Bond is now activated when Greninja KOs a Pokemon. However, it raises the attack, special attack, and speed by 1 stage. And it's only once per battle. Very interesting. Of course, Ash Greninja not being Generation 9 might be a coding issue, or simply Game Freak just not giving a damn anymore, not trying to add too many Pokemon. Makes sense considering that there's an absolute power creep in Generation 9 going on right now. So, let's take a look at Greninja here. So, I have the moves here that I think it's best suited for Battle Bond Greninja. Getting that +1 in attack, special attack, and speed. Wow. This Pokemon might be kind of crazy to deal with. However, obviously the ability is only once per battle, so you got to pick and choose wisely. This Pokemon could be a potential sweeper in the right hands. I have here choice specs, but I do think an item such as Life Orb might be pretty cool as well in order to expand the usage of your move pool. You don't want to get choice locked into a move that will otherwise make you lose the battle. I think Greninja with the boost will benefit tremendously from Terra Blast, considering that terrestrializing is in the game. I think fighting is a pretty decent common ground. It's able to hit other dark types, steel types that could potentially wall Greninja. But again, you never know with terrestrialization. We don't know what the metagame is going to be like once this Pokemon gets released. We don't even know when this Pokemon is going to get released to begin with. But I do think Terra Fighting is a good common ground in order to deal a lot of damage to Pokemon. So, and if you want to change the Terra typing, there's also a bunch of other typings you can choose. You can choose like Ghost, Dragon, Fairy, Poison. There's just so many things you can choose from. Best suited for your team needs. So, going back into this Greninja here in Generation 9, Extra Sensory is able to hit, crazy Pokemon such as Clodsire. If Clodsire is somehow not running unaware, it's probably going to be running Water Absorb, and this would be the perfect move for Greninja to use. Albeit, it just depends on specific matchups. And there's also a bunch of fighting Pokemon that were introduced in this generation as well. Pretty good tech right there. And now obviously I slapped on Dark Pulse and Hydro Pump. Perfect stab moves you can use. They hit incredibly hard, especially if you have the choice specs or even the life orb, as I mentioned. And overall, I think this Pokemon is going to be really cool. It's just strange to see an ability like Battle Bond just completely change from what we've seen from Generation 7. Now, do I think Greninja Battle Bond is going to be really good? We obviously don't know yet. I do think it's going to be somewhat interesting to use as a sweeper, considering the fact that the metagame from Generation 7 is vastly different from Generation 9. Now, obviously, in Generation 7, we had Z moves that were once per turn, and now with Terra typing being obviously once per battle. Sorry, excuse me. If Z moves were once per battle and Terastallizing is once per battle, but it's a permanent effect, I think Greninja is going to be really good. Again, it depends on the meta game changes. So, just a little quick video for you guys, for those who are interested. I have seen all those Froakies out there in people's picnics. Everyone was showing me some screenshots of Pokemon that are eventually going to be released in Scarlet and Violet, whether it's via an event or via Pokemon Home. I think this Pokemon is going to be really good. I think it has the move pool. Do I think it's better than Protean? I think Protean is just a goated ability, even though it also got nerfed as well, as it's only a once per switch in. But I don't know. It's very hard to say because obviously we are expecting more Pokemon to be released, and as the metagame changes with the release of Pokemon, then certain trends will rise. Perhaps we'll see an increase of Protean Greninja because it does have a really excellent move pool and it has access to T-Spikes and Spikes. Or we could see a shift into Battle Bond in order to deal with the massive power creep that has been going on from Generation 7 to 8, and then eventually from 8 to 9. I think Pokemon such as Chi-Wu might get quote-unquote checked by this Pokemon. Obviously, due to its frail defenses of Greninja, you really don't want to switch into a hard, heavy hitter like Chien-Pao and Chi-Wu. And I think this Pokemon will be really cool for revenge killing potential other Pokemon, but without the boost in Water Shuriken and without the security of having 3 consecutive hits, we shall see. At the end of the day, Greninja is one of the favorite starters of a lot of people, so I really do hope it shines in Generation 9. So let me know what you guys think about Greninja. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think about this Pokemon. I think this Pokemon has a lot of potential if it ever does come into Generation 9. And yeah, thank you guys so much. Like and subscribe to your boy Franklin. Peace.